Welcome to the Sister Street Show with Mary Nunnally and Sharon, a docu-series, interactive show, and virtual playground where we explore topics around entrepreneurship, online and in-person events, and the games that can be played with all of it. We invite you on our journey of sisterhood discovery and trial error in the adventures of online entrepreneurship. Follow a series or subscribe to the quest.
Aloha, welcome back. We're laughing because we have such fabulous backgrounds, but welcome back to the Sister Street Show. Myself, Sharon Otaguro, and your key host for today, Miss Mary Nunley.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us, Sharon. It's so much fun.
Oh my gosh, we do. We have too much fun. You guys don't know, but we actually spend probably 20 minutes before we even hit play, just shooting the breeze and trading actually amazing ideas. We always come up with amazing ideas that we think are going to be the next big thing. But today, the next big thing is furthering the conversation. The last show, we left you with the cliffhanger that we're going to go deeper into lead magnets and really level them up with how we can make them more interactive and more engaging. So Mary, that is her job. That is her business. It's actually not a job. It is a calling. And it's because she truly, truly cares about the behavioral psychology behind what you do so that you can attract the right people. So Mary, tell us more.
Sure. Well, as if you recall, last episode, we were talking about your lead magnet being your virtual billboard. And it's a way to capture people's attention, but it's not a one and done type of thing. So if you visualize a billboard as you're driving down the road, you oftentimes have to see it multiple times before that message sticks with you because you're going by so quickly. And so many people today think they're the lead magnet is like a one and done. You give me your email address, I send you a PDF. And we don't have a method of following up. We don't have clearly defined goals for our lead magnets. And so people are frustrated. It's like, oh, I spent all this time creating this beautiful document and I'm not getting any business from it. And so that is a great way to dive into that water of lead magnets. And if you're brand new to the show, lead magnets are just a way to introduce yourself to potential clients about your product, your service, your business. If you've been with us for a little while, as Sharon mentioned, we spoke with Charisse Alexander a couple of shows ago, talking about lead magnets and 70 different types of lead magnets. Then on our last show, we talked about your virtual billboard, which I just mentioned. Today, we're going to talk about adding some more interactivity and focusing on some of those behavioral design elements. And we do this through using gamified concepts or game-based theories or strategies with a little bit of psychology. So, shall
Excellent.
we continue?
Yeah, let's continue, Mary. Let's dive deeper because, before I met you, I thought that interactivity and adding game elements means, okay, so we need to track points, right? We need to have like the leaderboard. Those are the only terms that I knew. And although I have played a few games when I was younger, I didn't know how to connect or why to connect or where to connect. And you have some key points on the fact that it's not just points and boards, right?
Yes. So many people today, when they hear the term gamification, they immediately think points, badges, leaderboards, or PBL. And it's easy in the sense that, yes, you get 5 points. There's a leaderboard where you can see how many other people have 5 points. And when you hit a certain number of points, you get a reward. One of the companies that has mastered this is Starbucks. And so if you've been around the planet for a while, you've probably heard about the Starbucks reward system where if you sign up to be a Starbucks rewards member, you get points for every purchase you make. And lots of businesses do these now. And then they also use some behavioral design though, because they know what you like to buy. So now I'll get messages that say, hey, this weekend, make 3 purchases of a hot tea, a frappuccino, and a baked good. Well, guess what I typically buy? A hot tea for me, a frappuccino for my son, and a baked good for my partner. So it's like, oh, they know my buying habits. So it's like, but you'll get double points if you go in and do this. And then what happens? I redeem my points for a free product. So there are definitely some programming things that have to happen, but it becomes more run of the mill. It's like, okay, so what? I go to Starbucks, I scan this item, and now I'm getting messages that are like, hey, you've got points that are expiring, come and buy something. I'm like, I don't feel like going to Starbucks. So, because I'm not commuting every day. So
Mhm.
it's now taking me out of my way to go to Starbucks versus when I was driving to the office every day and I'd go past that Starbucks. It's like, oh yeah, I need that pick me up before I go to the office, or oh, it's been a long day. Let me grab something to drink for the way home.
Absolutely.
So, oh,
Well,
sorry.
no, no, I was going to say you made me think deeper because I didn't think, so I only use my Hawaiian Miles credit card because I get airline miles for it, and I
Hmm.
don't switch because I want to go back home to Hawaii. But you made me think because I hadn't realized I knew it was a reward system, but I hadn't realized that was more gamified and that they could do so much more, or that the different things they do are based on that. So, guys, leave in the chat and put which brands or where you think you're being gamified at this point, and whether they work or not, because we want to know.
Yeah. So, that's a simple gamification. Taking it to a more deeper level, you really, when you're thinking about your lead magnets and looking at the games that you've played throughout your life, and some people say, oh, I don't play games, I've never played games. Well, if you were a child, most likely you played some type of game, whether you looked at it as a game or not. And the thing that most games have are rules, and the rules could be clearly defined or a little bit flexible. I use Monopoly as an example for that because Monopoly, if you've ever played the game Monopoly, there comes a set of rules, but most people that I know have their own kind of like unwritten rules of like, okay, what happens with the money that goes into the center of the board, or what happens if this happens? And so the game has evolved, but as long as everyone knows what the rules are and what the expectation is, you can have fun playing. So if you're going to gamify your lead magnet or add some of that interactivity, what you want to think about is, what's that end goal that you're trying to achieve? What's the action that you want that client or user to take? And is it clearly defined? Do they know? And then how are you going to get them there, and how are you going to reward them for taking that action? So going back to the Monopoly game, if you are trying to take over the board Monopoly, you're rewarded every time you buy a house or you buy property and somebody lands on your property. The flip side is, of course, there's also anti rewards, as I like to call them, because if you land on someone else's property, then you're going to lose something. So think about that with your lead magnets too. We want to focus on reward, but occasionally we also want to build in, we're going to lose out or we're going to miss something. And that's where countdown clocks come in, because it's that sense of scarcity, that sense of missing out. Before I go on a diatribe or a rant, so I'm going to let Sharon reel me in. One thing to think about though with these countdown clocks is, in order to keep credible, don't have oh yeah, this offer ends, there's the countdown clock, and I go back to your page the next day, allegedly after the offer ends, and the countdown clock is still there, because now you start to lose credibility. So if you say that this is a one-time offer, it expires at midnight Eastern Standard Time or whatever time zone you pick, when I go back at 12:02, then it shouldn't be there, because otherwise I'm losing that credibility that I'm trying to build.
Absolutely, yes. Those were so key. So, if I understand it right, to start thinking about gamification or adding more interactivity to your lead magnet, first there should be some rules so that people understand how to play, but
Mhm.
that you have a very clear action goal that you're looking for, and you know what that goal is, and then you build in rewards. But perhaps anti rewards as well. But considering how you're rewarding the behavior through those pieces, and then holding the integrity with the countdown clocks. Is that right? Did I get
That is exactly it. Yes. So, let's break it apart even further. I'm creating my interactive lead magnet. I'm creating a gamified lead magnet, so to speak. When we talk about the rules, it doesn't have to be like a 37-page rule book. It might be one or two sentences that say, if you go through this adventure, or if you unlock this puzzle, or if you solve this, word puzzle, or however you build your lead magnet, you're going to unlock a key, or you're going to unlock a page that gives you your choice of reward. So it doesn't have to be this big rule manual, but people do need to understand, if I do X, then this is what's going to happen. So, oh no, Sharon went away. You disappeared.
We'll have to edit that part out.
Yes. Good thing we're recording that live. So, rules can be simple, but then you also need to make sure that people understand what they need to do. So is it roll a digital dice? Is it answer some questions? And so now, as the creator of the lead magnet, you also have to be very clear on how that journey of your customer is going to flow. It may only be, 4 or 5 actions, but they all have to make sense. If it's a quiz type lead magnet, what happens if I get the question wrong? Are we just tailing it? Do they get another chance? Does it take them down a different path?
So wait, Mary, you're saying that when we do lead magnets, we should have a plan?
Yes. and we're laughing because prior to this, we're just talking about how so often I just walk into things going, yes, here's what's going to happen. And yes, we really need to have a plan.
Well, and it is important, right? Because we were playing with which background Mary should use, and one of the ones she picked was the dice, because if you don't have a plan, then you are rolling the dice even more. And although sometimes it works, and those 70 lead magnets are great options, at the same time, you should have a plan for each of those lead magnets, because I had a few that I wanted to use, but if I didn't pick the right one for the right audience, like if I went on a business building summit, then it probably wouldn't be as good to use my how to play. Might be, but might not be.
Mm-hmm.
But probably a better lead magnet would be how to get unstuck, or receive your next breakthrough. So having a variety is good, because you're going to be on different stages, and a lot of paths lead to the same summit. And being able to know what the goal is and matching your lead magnet to it, I think Mary just explained, makes a lot of sense.
Yes, and you'll hear us keep talking about clarity and goals and knowing what you're measuring. So hopefully you're starting to see a trend here.
Yeah. And a key point too that you said is create a journey. So have a plan, create a journey, but then also consider the yes and no. So consider on that journey, what happens if people take one path or another path, the path towards you or the path away from you. How can you still build relationship, whether they are not your target audience? It might be now, but it might be that they are your target audience later. So it does take more time when you plan, but that's how you can truly build interactivity, is what Mary's saying. And there's a reason for it, right, Mary? So if they take the steps further, when you have a higher level of interactivity, you can really refine your magnet for the right audience and create polarization, right?
That is correct. And the other piece of that is, when we're putting people on this path, so many people think that, and this is where I'm sort of out on the fringes here with my beliefs. The first thing you need to do is capture somebody's name and email address so that they can download your stuff, and then you can put them in an email sequence and send them stuff until they unsubscribe. What I believe, and what is working for us and for our clients, is that you capture that information after the end user has engaged with your lead magnet. Because oftentimes, and we would love to know in the comments how many of you have done this as well, you'll see something that pops up on your screen. It's like, ooh, that looks interesting. You download it, and then you never read it. With a more interactive lead magnet or interactive approach, instead of capturing the information up front, they go through this journey. And again, it's still only a few minutes. And then you provide them with some options of, maybe they want to book a short call with you. Maybe they want to sign up for your downloadable. Maybe they want to sign up for your next event. They've had an opportunity to get to know you, and they're already pre-qualifying themselves. So now you've got now is the time to collect, in my mind, their email information, because they've taken the time to go on this journey to learn a little bit more about you. And there's a better chance that they're closer to your ideal customer, at least for now. Versus, yes, I've collected your email address. And I used to do a lot of vendor events. And you'd have people stop by your table and, they'd ask a couple chit chat questions. And it's like, here, sign up for my drawing. And you get their name. And then, you'd follow up. It's like, I'm sorry you didn't win, but let me tell you more about XYZ product. And people are like, oh no, I just signed the prize. Versus, and that's what a lot of people are doing when they download your downloadable. They just want the prize. Versus, okay, before you can sign up for my giveaway, I need you to answer these 5 questions. It's like, oh, so now you're really serious. Okay. So now you're looking to build a new course. Oh, you want to do, so now I've got maybe fewer people on my list, but better quality prospects.
I love it. So, Mary, we're just about 14 minutes in, and I know we really try to respect our audience's time, but what are some key things? Let's give the audience some takeaways that they can use to increase their interactivity. And so just for you guys to remember, Charisse gave us a lot of great ideas on what a lead magnet might be if you don't have one yet. So go back and watch that episode. But I'd love, Mary, if you could go into the lead magnets that people already have and some steps that they can take to build additional interactivity.
Sure. So the quickest and easiest thing that you can do is add some Easter eggs to your lead magnet. And so let's say you've got a 7-page PDF download and you're trying to get a sense of like, where do people stop reading? So somewhere around page 3 or 4 in a place that makes sense, you can hyperlink a word. And when people click on that, maybe it's a short video of you popping up going, congratulations, you've just made it through page 3 of 7 in this really boring PDF. And I'd like to commend you for that. And again, I'm being a little facetious here, but that's what an Easter egg is. So it's a hidden surprise somewhere in your document, your website, your videos, whatever, that then encourage people to continue reading. And that's probably the easiest way to add interactivity.
I love that. That's like at the end of the movie, you watch those little teasers, right?
Yes. Or, if you're a Marvel movie, if you're in the Marvel universe, at the end of those movies, you wait for all the credits to roll because you know that there's like a bonus mini movie at the end. So that is the simplest, easiest thing that you can do. Another thing, if you've ever heard me speak at summits and other events, we talk about collection sets. So if you've got younger children that play card games like Pokemon or Magic or some of those, and Magic's probably older children, but you're trying to collect things and then turn them into something else. So with your lead magnets, you could, for example, put a piece of a picture, maybe it's a piece of your business card, and it's on a series of 4. And when people collect all 4, and then put that image together digitally and send it to you, then they get rewarded. Maybe they get a free 15-minute consultation. Maybe they get a chapter from your ebook. Maybe they get a VIP upgrade to your next summit. But that's another way to make it interactive without really building out a brand new lead magnet. And then the third way is a much more complex, and you can do this in Google Sheets. You can do this in PowerPoint. We use a software called Genially, which is great. You can actually build out a game with those scenarios and those paths that people take. And based on their answers, it will lead them to a final page where they make a last decision of, how do I want to engage and work with you? Is it a call? Is it a downloadable? Is it an event?
Amazing. My brain exploded with different ideas, and I'm like, okay, which one should I do? Which one should I do? Those are all such great actionables, and I can see how I can use them in every single lead magnet that I have. And Mary, I might have redesigned and so that I can actually finish the one that but I think hopefully you guys have gotten some great ideas. And also understand what can happen with a lead magnet when you add that interactivity. You get higher quality leads. You are able to reward and engage your audience even more deeply. And you hold that integrity because the pieces that you do from reward, but also the anti-reward on that countdown clock, that you let them know you are someone that follows through. So that is excellent.
Well,
Mary, any
thank you.
last words for our
So
group?
I'd say, my last words are have a plan, have fun, know what you're measuring, and then track the success of that lead magnet. So are you getting the results that you're looking for? If not, go back and change it. If you ever spend any time in the software development world or corporate today, build, measure, learn. Your first version is not going to be your last version. You're going to test it, you're going to learn from it, you're going to make adjustments, and then you're going to send it back out in the world.
Love it. Build, measure, and learn. Thank you guys for this last episode. I hope you got a lot out of it, and we will see you back on the next show.
Yes, and before we sign off, Sharon, why don't you tell us a little bit about our next series? Because we're moving from nurturing our audience, nurturing emails, then now that I need more clients, how do I do that with a lead magnet? And one of the best and most successful ways to do that is to have an event. So, Sharon, why don't you just give us a sneak peek behind the curtain about what's coming up?
Absolutely. We're going to go a little bit broad and a little bit deep on events, because events can be one of the best strategies that you use to build your audience, to build your business, and to build your influence. There, as well as, guess what? When I say build your influence, build your money, because summits and retreats, challenges and giveaways are all different online events that you can utilize to build your business by centering them around different themes, different topics, and different expertise that help you gain the influence and authority in your genre, in your expertise for your business. It also helps you build a partnership and a community, not just with the audience that follows you, but also with the speakers that you bring to support you in your journey. So there's a lot of different elements that we'll go into. We'll have a couple of guest speakers as well, as always, so that you can hear from us and our Ohana, our colleagues, on how we are building our business with you, for you, and with some fun added in there. So please stay tuned and check back on the next episode.
Yes, and come and follow us along at sisterstreet.show. So thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thank you. Aloha.
Hello.
We look forward to having you tune in next week for the rest of the conversation. Thanks for listening to the Sister Street Show with Mary Nunley and Sharon Adagiro. To learn more about the topics discussed today, visit sisterstreet.show.